All right. All right. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. As we commiserate once more over another loss, this time in Leagues Cup, and we are out of the tournament. AJ, what are your immediate reactions?
It is a tough loss to swallow. Yeah, absolutely. Atlanta United, after so many minutes of not scoring, we finally score. We get to the penalty shootouts. Suzanne hasn't saved a penalty his time here. Yeah, and we relied on a couple of guys that probably we should not rely on in a penalty shootout. Like, it's just Barry. I don't know if he has confidence, scoring goals right now. You'd expect him to take one, though, him being a striker. Probably why he was also put on. Purata, probably just overthought it and shot it wide. But yeah, it is. It's very tough. Very tough. Both losses in the Leagues Cup, we crash out. Frank de Boer was fired for less.
Yep.
And straight up. So, yes, he was 0-3 in the MLS is back, but did win 2 cups for us. And Pineda, not sure what he's done for us. I don't know. And Uyumba looked like a good addition. I mean, we'll call a spade when it's a spade. I mean, he looked to move it forward. He looked like he was lively, had good energy, made some good tackles, moved the ball well. There were, maybe a few misplaced passes, but for a debut, really, really good. Almada did Almada things and got us the equalizer, and it was definitely much needed. And it was some good combination play from the team to get that goal. We were definitely up at that time. There were some questionable calls. There was a handball that maybe should have been called. What was it called? And there's just I think largely we just see kind of the inequities of MLS and Liga MX, and also when Messi's on your team. I mean, would we have been probably favorites in this group when we came into it? Probably. CRUZ AZUL down in the dredges in Liga MX. Inter Miami, we know the drill with them. They're in last place, but they got the injection of Lionel Messi at the right time, and they topped the group. We got grouped, and that's the context, but it's still embarrassing. It does not make it taste any better, and it's just frankly, things have to change. We have now a 3-week break, and it's just it's a perfect time to probably make some moves.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start with some of the positives. Thiago put on a bit of a masterclass today. I was really happy with him. He looked like he was up for the big game. Wasn't up against, I guess you probably heard some things about him not being up for it against Messi, but he was definitely up for this game, and I was happy to see that. I was expecting a bit of a rebound for Atlanta after getting stomped by Miami and literally just not showing up. And they did. They definitely bounced back. You could tell they had a lot more energy, a lot more passion, spirit, fight in them. I mean, Wiley was pushing out Tuna all over the place. That was fun to see. All of our guys were making crunching tackles. They weren't shying away from trying to win second balls. A lot of the battles were won and lost in those midfield exchanges, and we came out on top of a lot of them. Usually we're not on top of those. I think Tristan Miyomba had a lot to do with that. He was a revelation in the midfield compared to what we're used to. I mean, the guy did one-touch passing. We, like, never see that. Like, he did things like, you know, receive the ball without his back being to goal, which are things we also don't see very much. Like, just being able to play with speed, knowing what you're going to do before the ball gets to you so you can instantly make that decision is an incredibly coveted skill that we have been lacking for so long. Once the ball gets into our midfield, the entire attack slows down. When it comes to, I think Yorgos had a bit of a rough game. He tried really hard. Another player who definitely seemed up for it. I loved his energy and his vigor when, you know, he's being tested by some of the defense on CRUZ AZUL, and he was definitely up for it. He had all the spit and vinegar in the world in him, but unfortunately he wasn't able to kind of put it to bed with that header that looked like it was a goal. That really, I mean, even to the TV when you're watching at home, I don't know what it looked like in the stadium, but on the TV it looked like it went in, which is hard to do on a TV. So
right, the announcer even announced the fire went off.
Yeah,
but the score did not change. I mean, it was basically, yeah, there was a lot of confusion inside the stadium because people were cheering, people threw their beer, and there was a couple in front of me that they threw their beer, and then when the penalty shootout happened, they actually left. They, I don't know if they went to get another beer or something, but maybe he was bitter. But
yeah,
definitely funny. But go on.
Yeah, so like we definitely especially once Thiago scored that goal, we were fiending, we were swarming, we were attacking relentlessly. It almost seemed like it was written in the stars that we would absolutely score a second one to put the game to rest. The other CRUZ AZUL was up against the ropes. They looked like they had no recourse. I mean, it looked like they were shook after that punch to the face. They were able to hold on, and I really think it was mostly because of we just weren't very clinical in the final third. We had a lot of chances. Didn't do much with them, unfortunately. I mean, a lot of times when we got to the final third, it kind of slowed down again. That final pass just wasn't there. There were a couple of times where I saw players in the final third where they got there and took a little too many touches, and it just allowed the other team to get into position to stop whatever attack that they had coming. They decided to pass, or instead of just take it head on, one touch it into the net or something like that. They want to do this extra thing, and it just didn't work out every single time. So, that's still an issue for us. That's still something that I think can be resolved with, additions of better kind of wingers and maybe, I mean, I really liked Tristan actually got into the attack. He was doing things close to the net that I thought were like things wingers are supposed to be doing. So I was very happy to see him, willingly and excitedly getting into the attack because, like I've been saying for a while, we need more players with an attacking instinct that can actually threaten the goal when the ball is near them in the attacking third. Because for the most part, if it's not like our striker or Iago, everyone just wants to pass it around. And everyone knows that, so they let them. And they just 12-man guard Thiago or Iago. So, that's still going to be an issue going forward. Hopefully we can get that rectified. But yeah, overall, I think we played better. I think, like I said, Tristan had a lot to do with it. I think the team feeling more up for this game had something to do with it. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. You can have all the energy and spit and vinegar in the world, but you're just not clinical. It's not going to account for anything. So we beat them in stats in like every regard. But again, just the one stat we didn't win in was being clinical.
Yeah, I mean, Tristan Miyomba, he was all action tonight. Yeah, he was on the right, he was on the left, he was cutting in, he was getting some shots off, he was passing in the box. And Mosquera, when he came on, he was energetic. He put some good balls in from the right, and he ended up playing left wing back when Wiley was subbed out. So Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think some of the subs worked. Some of the, who was starting, that worked. There is something about, yeah, our lack of clinical ability right now. It's bad. Like we just do not have enough goal scorers to put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis right now. Like we're in this bad spell, and yeah, I mean, CRUZ AZUL, that second half they didn't have it. We were on top for sure, but ultimately that shootout, yeah, shootouts are ruthless. It's basically it was CRUZ AZUL's to lose. They missed the first one, and then
Barry steps up to the plate.
Yeah, Barry steps up to the penalty spot, and it's
a freaking striker.
Yeah, and even then, there's another lifeline. There's another lifeline where we are ahead. But it is just not enough. We missed 2 penalties, and that's like you want to go first because the going last sometimes the pressure's even more immense. But I think it's an odd setup too. I think Yorgos Yakumakis probably should have gone first, or whomever usually takes the penalties first should take them. The whole being last, like being fifth, leaving somebody that can handle the pressure. I don't know if I really believe in that. I think you should go in the order of who is the most clinical, because that is what puts the most pressure. But there's probably a good number of philosophies on penalty kicks and shootouts, but I'm of that vein. But there's it's just ultimately we crash out, and that is I don't know. It's a microcosm of Atlanta United's season. We look decent in spurts. We cannot finish the job. It's just we either go down early, which we did here, or late, relatively late, and we own the stats, but it's not about owning the stats. The only thing that truly matters is who has more goals. And we haven't been doing that on a consistent enough basis. But yeah, how are the people feeling in the chat?
Let's see. What is everyone saying in the chat tonight, guys? Kevin CG says no words. Keaton Thomas says changes are needed now. Brian Diefenbach says, what a shit show. Dino the producer says, really hard to be an ATL fan right now. Henry Walmsley says, Pineda out. Level Grind says, Boca out. He is the cause of this nonsense. Kamek says, YNWA, I'm boycotting until Pineda and Boca are gone. Henry also says, Pineda and Boca out. Keaton Thomas says, this club deserves better, and the results that we've produced have been abysmal and downright disgusting. Lightning0491, my favorite Tampa Bay fan in the chat, says, well, at least Mayumba looked good. Dino the producer says, just came from the press conference. Pineda's excuses were, quote, this is football, it happens. Lee Teams says, time for a new keeper. Brad looked like he couldn't get down nor react fast enough. Pineda and Boca both out. Dino also says, the only positive from this game is Muyumba. Henry says, Brad Guzan out. Henry Walmsley says, Pineda 39% win percentage. This is brutal. Lightning says, all this was probably Josetu's best game. Let's stop there for a second and talk about Josetu's game tonight.
Yeah, no. Josetu lasted way too long in this match. Basically, he doesn't do enough to justify playing this many minutes. Pretty much when I remember having this thought, late corner, I think it was like 89th minute, and Josetu was finally taken off for Barry. But I'm like, like he's in the box, but he doesn't offer anything. Like
Yeah.
he's not
a goal scoring
outside of the
threat at
box.
all.
Right. Like inside the box, he's not going to do anything. Outside of the box, he's not going to do
He's
anything.
gonna sky it.
And he's not. Right. And further back, usually it's one of the fullbacks. He doesn't have pace to, stop somebody, so he's not going to be there. He's not going to be someone that is going to out-muscle you. I really don't know why he was on the pitch for that long. I mean, Sadish was kicking off first. He didn't start. He didn't start on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought Sadish had a good match. And, at least relatively to our midfield. So, I mean, it's baffling. I
will say, to Lightning's point, he's talking about that he thinks this is Osetu's one of at least probably his best game. I think he had a very good defensive control game, which is what you get from a Osetu operating at 100%. Is a very good defensive control game. He does not progress the ball. He does not attack well. He has no scoring threat aspect to him whatsoever. And so that to me is always like, well, that's where the ball goes, your attack goes to die, is when Osetu gets the ball. I think like when we were attacked and he was an outlet to try and prevent some of that in like maybe the first half and when he had a lot of energy still, the game was fresh. I think he actually had some pretty clean touches tonight. He had some pretty good control on the ball. But again, that's not what you need in this type of game, I think. I think in this type of game, you outshoot, you outscore your opponents. You don't play the 1-0 nail-biter type scenario. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't about possession in this match. It was about attacking. And I think, there was a moment that really stood out where he was on the kind of right part of midfield a little bit, in the middle, and there were a good number of players moving, and he decided to probably like between like 9 o'clock and 8 o'clock put one backwards to someone that was pretty well marked, but he decided to pass it back essentially. And it just that is the epitome of Mateus Osetu. I mean, it just like even given options of people going forward, he will not take the chance to play them in.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make any sense. And I think that's where, you have even just one player in your midfield that stops the play from progressing. That is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought Alonso, when he came on, he looked a lot, basically grittier, putting in tackles, last ditch, being well placed in his marking as well. But I think Muyumba made Osetu look better tonight, probably.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the midfield just in general looked more organized with Tristan there. So that was nice. Like he definitely has a bit of a veteran presence. You could tell he's an older guy. He knows what he's doing. And his touches were clean. He had vision in his passes. He was an outlet too. He's fast. He got into space. Yeah. People were finding him. He was making a lot of runs too that never received a pass, trying to draw defenders away. Like these are all veteran, intelligent plays by this guy. Like I am actually kind of blown away by him. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. I was definitely not expecting something this kind of like already well polished. Like I said, I don't know what I'm expecting. So he's a veteran player. He should be. But I just feel like the way we've been hiring and signing players, all of the things we're like, he should check off all these boxes, and they just don't. So it's for once, it's like the bill of sale matches the product, and I'm like, oh, finally, Jesus.
And again, he was taking up a lot of spaces that were being vacated. I think that was brilliant, and there seemed to be this kind of unspoken communication as well, because Muyamba, he would take out of space out left, and Wiley would drift infield, and then like one little look, and then Wiley goes back out to the left back position, and Muyamba goes back towards the center, and so it's like it's insane that it's like these are small things that are like kind of big things. Like it's a bit of a player that basically knows how to take the space. It's a bit of total football in the sense that the players are swapping interchangeably. It's something that I think with more intelligent type of players that don't just stay in one place. It's all about the movement.
Yeah.
It's all about the movement in football.
Yeah, you throw other teams off balance.
Right. And if you confuse your opponents and play quickly, I think that's what we saw in that second half, where we were on top and playing so much better.
Yeah.
And I bet if you look at the heat map for Muyamba, he's all over the place. It's probably like it probably looks like either a cross, like
right,
plus or whatever, or just like it's everywhere because he was everywhere, and that's fantastic. That's
that's what we need.
That shows, a player that has a ton of energy and intelligence to pretty much be an outlet, an option for players. And he was showing for the ball a lot. That's something that unfortunately not a lot of our other players do, especially in midfield. You need players that show for the ball. You can't have players that hide. And it's that happens too often. And I mean, tonight though, do you think we should have gotten more than one goal?
I think like if you think about how in they have in Jurassic Park that chaos theory scene where the water droplet goes on one side, or in another universe it goes on the other side. I feel like that ball from Yako's header could have been that way. So if that went in, I mean, this is a completely different conversation. So we would all be saying, wow, we played really well tonight, because we did for the most part. We just weren't clinical was the big takeaway. And if Yako gets that, that's being clinical. So, yeah.
For the trip, when he falls, when he's in, like he was played in, and so brutal. Like Almada's ball is perfect, and his run is perfect. And unfortunately, he trips at the very last second.
Yeah.
And it's like, he just didn't have it tonight in terms of the final third, the final ball. Just wasn't his night. He put away his penalty well. I mean, I think too many defenders took penalties. I guess maybe we went with like seniority or something.
I was really surprised to see Lennon go first. I was like, I might not even include him in terms of 5 to take a penalty.
He put his away.
He did, which I was not expecting whatsoever.
Right. I would have probably put him like 4th, probably. But because I mean, he's a defender, but he's kind of that hybrid of a winger, wing back, full back. But Parata obviously shouldn't have taken a penalty.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Barry, I think we all just had a sick feeling in our stomach.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, I mean, he's a striker. He probably should be taking the penalty, but it's like
it's like Kubo Torres all over again. It's so painful.
Yeah. It's honestly Yeah. I mean, I guess he's slightly more useful than Kubo Torres, but
is he?
Not
I guess much. Kubo hasn't scored like a golazo, but like
Kubo didn't score, so I mean, it's like Barry, at least he scored a ridiculous goal, so it's like, but I don't think it was for a win for us, and Kubo I think secured like a draw for us or something like that with the shithousery in the corner to finish off the match.
Yeah, I
But,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, looking at who finished the match too, it's like, well, who else maybe should have stepped up? I mean, I guess that's tough to say because who do we have? We have Edwin Mosquera.
Edwin did well
Got
tonight, I thought.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of taking a penalty, he's a young guy. Maybe not. He doesn't score very often either, so okay, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put him up as penalty, but like just in general, I think we should talk about him. I think he did extremely well. He was, very pacey. Really put the other team on notice because they needed to double mark him because he would just stumble through defenders. Like he would just kind of just bowl through them, and they just didn't expect it to work, and it worked multiple times. I was surprised it worked multiple times, so I was like, okay, all right.
On the right and the left, and he combined well with Lennon, and then especially for Thiago Almado's goal too. So he got an assist tonight, and yeah, I mean it was they were a dangerous combo, if not a little redundant on the right. I think that's where Pineda did see that, and he was like, okay, I'll move Mosquera too.
Yeah. Speaking of Lennon, he had a rough game tonight, I thought. I don't think he did very well.
Yeah. Who did you say? Because it dropped out right as you said it. Lennon. Interesting. Go
on. I thought, like, in terms of his crossing, in terms of his passing, whenever he got, like, we played him a lot down the right side, and he was basically put in the defender's pocket almost every time. He was pretty much locked down. Our right side was fairly low production tonight. I thought we saw more joy out of the left when he was getting pushed down there. Even Wiley versus Edwin when he was down there. Like we saw just more things happen from there. I think Lennon was just completely locked down tonight, and that's. I
think he had a good chance early that probably should have put on goal. That was I think the Wiley cross that snuck through, and or no, I think it was the Yakumaki's. He was able to play in, let him. That his shot was wide. I mean, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's this. It's like, I think defensively he was caught out a little bit as a winger because he was trying to maybe help out a little bit more.
Well, we just kept playing him down the right over and over again, and he kept running, and then either having to backtrack, pass it backwards, or he got stuffed up, or he got a weak cross off that just didn't go anywhere. So I think he's had much better games, and this was a big game that we needed him to show up on. Unfortunately, if you play a guy that much, you give him so much of the ball in your attack, he's got to perform. He's got to put in some dangerous stuff, and unfortunately, it just didn't really happen tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the sense that Pineda probably wanted to play more of the veterans tonight because obviously, Wolf didn't play, any of the homegrowns didn't play essentially. I mean, it was basically you either had guys who were young and performed, or basically at least had seen other leagues and other stuff like that. Because while Edwin Mosquera is young, he's bounced around a little bit, so he's got that bit of experience. But
what did you think of the formation switch?
Later on in the match, when we went to the back,
when we started, it was a bit of a different formation.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely more. Ronald Hernandez as the right back and Lennon as the wing or the winger, the right winger. But we probably needed to. We had to weather, and I mean, it's just it didn't quite work, obviously. The shape. So we had to weather a lot of storms, and I think we looked a lot better in the second half because we kind of made that shift.
Yeah.
And Mosqueda came on, and Lennon played as right back. And yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where Caleb Wiley, I mean, he had like an okay match. I think he was getting turned around a little bit by the CRUZ AZUL winger.
I mean, he was going up against Antuna. Like, that guy's a monster. I think he did amazing against him.
And I get that, but yeah, it's one of those, like, he had his moments where he was being able to run upfield and get on the end of some balls over the top or through balls, and yeah, he had some moments where there was that ball that skipped across the six, and he hit it so hard that Yakumakis and Lennon couldn't get on the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, like that chance. That's another one of those chances that we just rued. Like, it's that could have been because it was that was at a moment where we needed a goal, and it was just not to be. And I think the formation change was something that ultimately gave us the upper hand in the second half, but still, that lack of clinical ability lately, again, did us in. And
how did you like the three midfielders?
The three midfielders? Yeah. Muyamba, Sadic, and Hosetsu. Obviously, yeah. I've said my piece about Hosetsu.
Yeah.
That's where it didn't work for me. Because
to your point earlier, I think you're right about because there was three of them working as a team instead of a two pairing. You were able to see Hosetsu be a little bit more safe with the ball.
Right. Because he was actually at the number 6 position, while Sadic and Muyamba were kind of more of the roving box-to-box players. And I think it's interesting, like Sosa didn't play at all, probably for various reasons. One, performance on Tuesday, and fitness. But yeah, I think it's very fascinating, illuminating probably. But yeah, it's one of those. I think we look so much better with Alonso.
Yeah.
On later, and I think it's one of those. If Muyamba isn't the 6, well then somebody like Ozzy Alonso needs to be the 6.
Yeah.
Because he just brought that security, brought that steel, and he brought that ability to be able to recycle the ball quickly and well. And I think that's what we need, not a Hosetsu.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if you can hear the blowhorn, but yeah, they're still here. CRUZ AZUL fans are having a party here.
Yeah, well, to them it's the World Cup final, so as it always is. So, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, right. But it is something that if ever, like it's just, this is one of the worst parts about where it's basically Leagues Cup. They changed everything around a little bit. It was interesting tonight because it was in the interest of being a little bit more neutral. So they had the announcers pretty much be not only in English and Spanish, but it was a little bit more of a neutral ground because Leagues Cup was essentially where no Liga MX team was the home team.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so you had that, and then plus you had the Leagues Cup, at least in the stadium. I don't know if you guys could hear it on the podcast, but they played the Leagues Cup theme every time there was a goal kick.
Really?
And
you did not hear that?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I surmise
Every
it's
time there's a goal
because
kick?
every time there's a goal kick, and I surmise it's because of the Puta chant.
Oh,
You
no.
know, and so they were trying to mitigate that, especially against a Liga MX side, very prominent on goal kick, and
I see
yeah,
now. Yeah, that's probably a good theory. That's unfortunate if that's the case.
yeah, but it was definitely weird. It was like
Yeah.
it was loud in the same. I'm just like, why is it playing randomly? And then I figured out, oh, okay, every time it's a goal kick.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Interesting.
it's you know, they haven't banned it in Liga MX. I don't think. That's probably why.
Yeah, that's kind of a tall order. So I want to ask you two more questions, and we're going to go back to the chat. First is, so who do you think, or what do you think was the breakdown for CRUZ AZUL's first goal?
For their goal, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember
It was
the
the
play.
throw-in to a header, to a header, to an unmarked man on the far post who blasted it
At
in.
the back post. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay. I mean, it's just a symptom that we get drawn into ball watching, and it's just we constantly do it, and we leave the back post uncovered. It doesn't matter which side it's on. Like it was on Brooks Lennon's side this time. Usually it's on the left back side, and yeah, I mean, we go to sleep. We go to sleep when we just don't sniff the danger
Yeah.
well enough, and that is a glaring issue. That's why we concede the most goals, or pretty much damn near the most goals in the league. So, and this is the thing. It's like, yes, we can, I think, give as much of a chance to Pineda for, the attacking style and all that he brings, and good vibes coach and all that, but we are a terrible team defensively, and we have a good enough squad to at least not be this bad defensively.
Yeah.
And I think that is very damning. So, for context, Unai Emery at Arsenal, we were conceding the most shots pretty much in the league at that point. We weren't getting scored on the most or anything like that, but like I remember, I think it was like his second year, or pretty much every year that he coached Arsenal. It was very much where there were just lots and lots of shots every single game, and it kind of feels like that, like a little bit of some similarities to a degree with Pineda, in the sense that, okay, maybe it's not lots and lots of shots that we concede, but we give up a lot of goals on pretty straightforward chances, or like pretty simple things. And while you can blame a little bit of the players for switching off and the goalkeeper for not being a good shot stopper at this juncture in his career, but I think it's a bit of the setup. It's a bit of the mentality, and it doesn't matter who's in there. Like Caleb Wiley, Andrew Gutman, Ronald Hernandez, Brooks Lennon, Miles Robinson, Juanjo Parata, Luis Abram. It doesn't matter who's in. It's basically, like, and it's our midfield too, obviously, because we don't have anybody shielding the defense.
Yeah.
And so they're just able to waltz right in and get a good shot off. But essentially, the personnel, it has not made a difference. We concede the most goals for pretty much damn near.
So what happened to me, in my interpretation, for me, was that basically when the throw-in went in First guy heads it. Perfectly fair. I mean, our defenders were behind him, so it kind of landed towards him, and he kind of flicked it back. The second header is where I think things fell apart, because I was fairly getting closer to goal. And what we had was 3 defenders rush him and try and all go and win the ball. None of them won it. The CRUZ AZUL player went above all of them and won it. Flicked it back behind him, unopposed. And the other guy, probably one of those 3, was his guy. And he just is far alone by himself and blasted in. I'm not quite sure what in their mind makes them think they need to triple cover a guy when leaving another guy left wide open. I don't know what coaching tactic that is. I think that's just a player switching off and being a little bit of a dum-dum, and that's kind of what I saw there.
Yeah, it's classic ball watching, and so it's like, and then realizing, oh shit, I need to do something, but then you get drawn to the ball versus knowing where you need to. Yeah, there's the whole zonal marking, and
right. I was just about to say that. Yep.
Man-to-man marking, and basically 3 of them decided to man mark versus zonal mark, and you can't do that when it's that type of situation. Like, I think there's arguments for both, obviously, in terms of man marking, zonal marking. Obviously, Hainsey was a fan of man-to-man, but I mean, I think when the team is up in attack in terms of your opponent, you have to zonal mark. You have to cover all the spaces.
Yeah.
And it's not like we even stepped up well enough, to like catch them offside or something. We didn't do any of that.
Yeah, we definitely
basically did. We just like let them play in our box, unmarked, and I mean, it's like, that's the thing. They still deserved that goal, whether it was, essentially a tap in or not.
It was very good, regardless of everything. Like, of everything we did, our mistakes included. It was a very well taken and very well worked goal. Pineda will be upset because it was off of throw-in, and that gets his goat. But it really was well played by them. They came up clutch in that play, and it frustrates me because against a considerably weaker Miami at the time, they didn't do that. CRUZ just didn't show up against Miami when it came to being clinical. Antuna did it a little bit towards the end to try and equalize after Taylor scored one, I think it was. But like, I don't know what it was. I think it may have been, maybe it's this, because Miami scored first, and that was a bit of a punch in the face to them, and that shook them. And you saw in this game, once we scored, it shook them as well. They seem like a team that kind of gets in their own head and has a hard time getting out of it once they get punched in the face. It's a hard time recovering. But, regardless of that, it is what it is.
Let's talk about CRUZ AZUL a little bit more, too.
Okay.
Inside the stadium, it was definitely like 50-50
in
terms of not only the amount of CRUZ AZUL fans, but also how loud they were. And pretty much, if anything went well for CRUZ AZUL, there were some loud cheers.
Yeah.
In our own sections. Like, they were like in the supporter section. They were pretty much sitting next to me. And periodically, like even during our chants, even during like the ATL Viking clap, they were all shouting "Azul, Azul," and it was loud.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier today about this, where, they were saying like, it's kind of embarrassing seeing like all of these MLS teams, invite all these Liga MX teams into their stadiums, and they're like 50-50 in terms of the people there, the attendance. And I mean, it's a bad look, sure, but I will remind people that a lot of this is simply for one reason, really, is that these teams existed before most MLS teams, more before this specific MLS team, definitely. So these people, CRUZ AZUL, all these other teams, they've had their brand disseminating through here in this part of the United States, in Atlanta, for many years already, before we ever existed. So what I think, and I responded to someone on Twitter about this, was that I believe a lot of these people who are wearing CRUZ AZUL also wear an Atlanta United jersey on a regular match day. So that's true. Like, they will put on the CRUZ AZUL when they're playing here because that's their first love in terms of their sports team. But, like, their actual home regional team is Atlanta. So that's, I mean, it really just because it's a chronological thing.
And for sure, there is a bit of that. You saw on the social media as well. There was the.
It's not like everyone is coming from Mexico to this game. That was what I'm saying.
Right, and no doubt there probably are some that maybe did, because maybe it's like maybe not for CRUZ AZUL, but for some other more desirable Liga MX sides that have huge fan bases, it's cheaper to go to these than to go to, say, probably a Club America or Monterrey. So, but either way, I mean, like a family just walked by and it was like the mother was wearing a CRUZ AZUL kit and the father was wearing a United kit, and their family was wearing a smattering of other ones. And so, yeah, no doubt, there is absolutely that. But, the whole, like, it being a neutral home for Leagues Cup, cool. But as an Atlanta United fan, seeing that, like, it gets my blood boiling.
Yeah. It's, at the end of the day, it's still, you want to hear your team is the one who's being supported in your house, of course, yeah. At the end of the day.
Exactly. It's like, it's essentially what I was alluding to the other day on the other stream. It's like, man, I'm F it, all right? It's like being a cuckold.
Leagues Cup After Dark AJ coming out.
Exactly. It's essentially this. It's like being a cuck. Or it's like, if you don't know what that is, go look it up. But like, and if you are a cuck, do you? But
I mean, you assume someone doesn't like that, and if you don't like that and you're forcing them to do it, then of course there's no consent there, and that's not something we condone, and that's why it would be a problem. But if that's something you consent to and you're all right with it, then that's no problem at all.
Exactly. Then do you. Mm-hmm. Exactly. No big deal.
Yeah.
But it's it's like we just let them waltz right in. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, the bedroom door is wide open.
Yeah.
Go on in.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of felt tonight. It was like, yeah, this is weird. This is a weird vibe. And so, yeah, there's definitely that feeling. No doubt it was probably the same during Club America and Campeones Cup. But definitely less desirable of a result.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I don't give a shit. In my opinion, I don't care at all if there's... I almost prefer it that there's, like, more opponent fans in the stadium when we beat them. That would be like... That, to me, is like... Yeah.
Oh, it's sweeter.
Yeah, exactly. Course. It's so sweet. Yeah. But at the same time, I agree. Yeah. Like, whenever you have a home game, it should be. But I feel like I've been a United States fan for forever, and United States has no home games. Ever. They just don't.
Sure.
And so I'm just used to that. And so when that happens here with this, I'm used to it as well. I mean, I feel like everyone's pretty much getting used to it or is used to it. And it's people from, like, outside the United States that don't understand this type of thing. And, like, I completely understand why they don't understand it, and I get it. But like here, we are just such a different animal when it comes to sports and fandom and how we do immigration and the history of different nations and things. So, I mean, it's a strength and a frustration at the same time. And so it very much rears its head in things like this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, so tonight, it just, yeah, on top of everything, it just really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know, a lot of fans spend a lot of hard-earned money to go to these games or spend their time, you know, and they're not being rewarded right now. Really, for the past 4 years, they have not been rewarded, and you know, it's high time right now. We were talking earlier today, and I think it absolutely shows, you know, kind of the different directions that some clubs are going. Inter Miami now have 12 million Instagram followers. They have more followers than any of the MLS teams combined. And also, LA United were, you know, first to 1 million Twitter followers. We're now at like 995,000. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it is showing that, yeah, one team is gaining more and more followers because, yes, Lionel Messi, that is like, it's like a steroid injection. But LA United are losing fans. And it's a lot of the casuals, of course. It could have something to do with, you know, Twitter and the state of X.
Yeah. We're currently living in the era of X, so yeah.
Right. It's such a bizarre, like, I don't know, universe that we live in. Like, this timeline is just so strange.
It's a weird one.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. But either way, LA United are going in a wrong direction. And, you know, even though we're technically in a playoff spot right now, if you polled most of the fans, would they believe that we can hang on to that playoff spot?
Interesting question. So let's look at some more of the comments because there's a lot of them tonight. We'll get through as much as we can, and then I'm going to ask you two big hot seat questions, and then we'll move on to some of the more lighthearted content that we have lined up for you tonight.
Exactly.
So stick around for that. Yeah, the shenanigans. We have some videos to show you tonight. The good ones, trust me. Baraka says, we sack Frank de Boer for less. This team is consistently inconsistent. T. Brian says, has Pineda won a single tournament game? I do not think so. Henry Walmsley says, agree. Pineda needs to go. So many good coaches available right now. Conte, Zidane, makes no sense, I think is what he meant to say. And how Boca is still here. Yeah, I mean,
we're not going to be able to get Conte or Zidane.
If we got Zidane, I mean, just Jesus, that would make my Algerian father-in-law explode. It would be hilarious. T. Brian says Boca Negra is the primary problem, and Pineda is his supporting problem. I kind of agree with that. Inja says we at least put in a good effort. That is true. We did do that tonight. I thought everyone kind of put their best foot forward. Just what really just came down to quality in the final third, essentially. Things I want to see before next game. Lightning says Pineda out. It just isn't working. Gigi finally gets fully healthy, and the partnership between him, Miyomba, Hosetu needs to find some chemistry. Yes, they absolutely do need to find chemistry. Hopefully without Hosetu. Brian says...
I don't think the importance is on Hosetu there for the chemistry there.
Brian says, with Orlando's potential win with a goal in stoppage time, all the Southern teams advance. But ATL. That's tough.
Yep.
That's tough. T. Bryan says at Lightning, very legit points. Of course, 3 weeks in isolation with Pineda could damage the player's psyche even further. Justin Floroni says, hashtag book out. Please, I'm not going to watch this team again until the right changes are made to the front office. Baraka says, where did it go wrong? It started off really well for an expansion team, but after the pandemic, the decision-making in the FO have been downright atrocious. It was like we forgot how to run a club. I don't think we ever did know how to run a club, Baraka, to be honest with you. I think a lot of that was the coach being here, the money we had, the sexiness of the club, and the prospect of starting this new project. I think all of that attracted a lot of talent, and expansion teams get a little bit of a bonus in terms of who they can sign, where they can sign. And I think
GAM money to be able to fill out the rest of the roster.
And so I think that we really just kind of lucked into it. It was lightning in a bottle in 18, in my opinion, 17, 18.
Yeah. Let's stay on that real quick because because it seems to be something that people say a lot. Like what went wrong? Where did it all go wrong? And that is that case. That TAM, that GAM, the players that are the 12 through 18 players that we were able to bring in. Essentially, I mean, Jeff Larentowicz was not supposed to be a starter for us, but he was definitely a player that had the obviously ability and the veteran presence. It was more Carlos Carmona really to start,
right?
And you had that. You had like just league veterans that know the league that can get you through the rougher times that can happen. And steady the ship.
Yeah.
And you have the likes of Michael Parkhurst. You have the likes of I mean, kind of lightning in a bottle to a degree of hitting on your draft picks too. Julian Gressel, Miles Robinson. Julian Gressel,
literal MVP, literal national team. Like, I mean, you couldn't have done better.
Right. And so you have players that, that you didn't keep, that were league beaters. You have also, being able to fill out the rest of the team with, some good talent, and players on the bench, and it's like Kenwin Jones as your striker, like, as your backup striker. That ain't too bad.
Yeah. Like having Tino as a reserve player too is like absurd. It's an embarrassment of riches.
Right. Like you don't really get that too much in MLS. Obviously, in the Premier League, in most of the top 5 European leagues, you have kind of at least a really strong, probably like 14 players.
Yeah, I mean, like your second 11 in those leagues could beat most teams anywhere.
Right. And so, we kind of had a good bit of that, that we were able to contend with. I mean, it's like the midfield of Eric Remetti, Jeff Larentowicz, Jonathan Nagbe, like basically they could be interchanged and you could still be able to hold ship.
Yeah.
It's just really, really good. And then you had Franco Escobar, Julian Gressel, who were interchangeable. Like those two players obviously are still in this league and doing really well. Like, and you have that, you have, I mean, you have like LGP plus, you had Miles Robinson waiting in the wings. You had that. You had Greg Garza and the slew of all the other left backs that we couldn't keep healthy, but Chris McCann, people thought early on he was going to be somebody that was going to be like a marketable star for us or something. And he ends up, being still a very serviceable player. Like he was a captain at previous stops that he was at, and he was able to play left back for us. he really almost rarely played in the midfield. But yeah, I mean, it's like you had just really really decent players for MLS, and that's that depth that we had then.
Mm-hmm.
Do not have now.
Yeah.
And
then it goes on a little bit, not as much, but it goes on a little bit. Could probably go on for we can talk about it for a minute, but going on to like 2019 when you have players like Brandon Vasquez waiting in the wings, you have players like Alec Khan, who coincidentally both of them have gone on to FC Cincy to start and dominate this league. So like it's again, it's an embarrassment of riches that we've had.
Quarantine Pogba as the like fourth or fifth center back. Like, we definitely. I mean, yes, it was for Champions League. That's why we had that many players, and we were able to, do that. But still, it's like that's the difference. You have at least, very experienced talent.
And so
right now,
to finish,
we have like very inexperienced.
Yeah, to finish the question was, so like the question Baraka posits to us assumes that we ever knew how to make a team or to run a club, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think we did. I think a lot of these things, specifically Tata being announced as the coach, and a lot of players wanting to come here to play for him, and that's something that gets into why we should get a coach that can attract players in the future. I think it's a really important thing. Not going to that, but like to say that I don't think Boca ever really knew what he was doing with that stuff. I think a lot of it was outside of his hands. He was kind of along for the ride. When he finally took the reins and really started doing things himself, we start to see his actual decisions, his actual influence. And I think everyone can see that things, they dropped off since 2018. 2019 was a drop-off. We still did well, but it was a drop-off. And then 2020, hyper drop-off. 2021, a little bit better, but still a drop-off. And 2022, not good. 2023, better, but it's not where we need to be. So, like, we've regressed to the mean and assumed a place in mediocrity that I don't think that indicates a front office that knows how to win. So I think when we started really hot and did really well, I don't think that was Boca doing that. I don't think that was the front office. I think that was mostly just the hype, the sexiness, the new project, and having big name players and a big coach come in, and everyone was like, this is, and money as well. I think that was like a big thing. We don't really have those things.
I don't think it was big players per se, because Miguel Almiron not a big player before he came here. Like, I guess maybe it's semantics, but it is one of those, like, we made some stars to a degree, made them more household names. Jose Martinez, didn't really have a big name in Europe, but he was definitely someone that was eyeballed for someone that could do well in this league, and obviously did. I think it's also, there were a lot of the technical staff, the like Lucy Rushton's, the other kind of more video people, the scouts, the people that eventually moved on, that we did not replace well enough, and that's where, yes, you have the, maybe tyrant is too harsh of a word, but Boca essentially, exercising his his ego and pushing Tato away, pushing a bunch of our really good players away, and
not conversing with the coach enough in terms of signings and what he needs to succeed.
Right, and having the players feel scorned as well when they leave. You kind of want some of the goodwill. I mean, you can't have every player.
Yeah, I mean, every big club has that problem, right?
Right, But not every player is going to leave on good terms.
Right.
But
Exactly.
there's been too many, way too many that have left on bad terms.
Yeah.
And
In such young history, there's already like a laundry list. That's not good.
yeah, let's keep it again.
All right, so let's look at some more comments. D. Bryan says, when a team continues to make same errors with no observable improvement in fundamentals, isn't that reflective of a coaching issue? Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say Pineda's a great coach. Does he make mistakes? Absolutely. But I also think a lot of it is individual errors and individual player. I honestly just don't think we have some players in some positions are just not very like high soccer IQ. That's a very euphemistic way of saying just a little bit of dumb, and that's just the way it is.
It's that. It's soccer IQ, talent ID. It's also coaching.
Yep.
Like all three of those things
right.
are not working right now. They're it's like competent, I think is what it is. So it's not like we're not giving Boca credit when there is credit due.
Right.
Yumba, if he has a say in it, he looks like a decent player.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the definition of mediocrity right now, is that, okay, if you're hitting like 50% of your players, it's just not good enough.
Oh, and by the way, when you sign for Atlanta United and you do your first press conference, make sure the first thing out of your mouth is that you were very, very happy with how Boca got you to sign with the team. Make sure you say that, specifically that.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's just that. It's like, it's not like, he's never signed a good player. Because, I mean, he's signed good players, but has he kept some good players? I mean, a few. But we've lost way better players than we've actually kept.
Yeah.
Like 100%. And I think that's a larger and part issue there. Like,
so, yeah,
if you look, I'm sure there's a starting 11 graphic out there of the players that we've lost that have gone on to do well at other clubs, and whether how much they're making or not, like they're still playing probably, and LGP, Barco, and
Pity Martinez
just won. Yeah, well, Pity Martinez. Yeah, but at River Plate anyway, they just won. They just won trophy. That's like.
Yeah, he's getting shouts for the Argentina national team. I'm like, ay.
Go on.
So Christian Solt says, if you had to choose, would you rather have Pineda or Boca out? Absolutely Boca. 1 billion, trillion, gazillion %. Henry says,
yep.
Henry Walmsley says, we need to sign someone. Do you know who is rumored? So it seems like we're going to be looking at that Georgian guy, not from the state, but from the country of Georgia.
Saba Labzandeze.
Yeah. So good luck with that pronunciation. He has been rumored with us, linked with us, and then it got real quiet, and then nothing. And the fact that they're like, we're going to be announcing something soon, I feel like that coincides with that. That links up with that. The second signing that Garth Lagerwey has hinted to, that's kind of a mystery. A lot of people are trying to say that it perhaps is a like a backup striker or someone like on the wing, someone who's just like a TAM, like a low level MLS veteran type player. Nothing to make waves, nothing to really break the bank. And this kind of hints to perhaps a difficult market, transfer market this window that Garth and Boca have been looking at. That could mean a couple of things. It could mean one, that like the market itself is just really difficult. Like there isn't the specific profile of player out there available at this time that we're looking for. And it could also mean that like it's, Garth has given him the guardrails to be like, here's what I need you to do and do it well, and he's just not able to do it. So like that could be like a sign that he's like, now that someone's really like on him to make the right decision and to do stuff and your job is on the line, he's like, crap, I don't want to make the wrong decision, and it's making him gun shy or trigger shy about trying to make a decision about who to bring in. That could be that too. I have no idea. We'll find out eventually.
That's an interesting theory. Yeah. Basically, you're saying that Garth Lagerwey is giving Carlos Bocanegra a long enough of a leash to hang himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we all are pretty much under the assumption that Garth is not the kind of guy, and this is just like, I don't know if anyone has business experience working in a corporate environment, but like when new people come in, they don't immediately just axe everyone. That's a bad look, makes the office upset. That's just a terrible thing to do when you just come into a new environment. You don't want to clean house immediately. So what you do is take a while to appraise. And through that appraisal, you then try and cut the fat. And this is over the course of time where you've given people time to course correct on their own, try and figure it out on their own, get on the same page. And if they don't, then it's like, well, I gave you the chance, and now we're moving on. So I think that is where we're at right now. We're in that position still. And I also think that extends to Pineda to a lesser degree than Boca, but I still think it extends to him. And I think what we'll see is some movement on that depending on how he does in this window, because that's how technical directors are judged.
Yeah, they should be judged on how many players they hit. And, right now it's not a lot. Like if you look up and down the roster, I would say a lot of that belongs to Carlos Bocanegra.
Yeah.
And
but
ones?
But look at it this way, guys. I mean, he's hit on Jaco and he's hit on Tristan, and those are his two most recent ones. So if everyone told him to course correct and now he's doing it, I don't know if Garth can just in good faith go, well, I have to cut you loose now. So it seems like he's, I don't know, attempting to save his job. So I mean, he'll know more than we do, obviously, and make the right decision, hopefully. So we'll see. But he has hit on the last two, and Garth is looking at those under a microscope. So I don't know what that tells you.
I think we should do this. We should ask the chat right now. You don't have to translate or anything, but we should ask the chat right now. Should we do a tier list of the current roster? And, pretty much, are they a hit? Are they not a hit? Jury's still out? That type of thing. Would they like to see that?
Yeah.
I think that'd be interesting.
Give us some ideas for some content coming up, because obviously we're not going to be in games for at least 3 weeks or something like that. So yeah, that would be something we could do. Let us know. That would be fun. Let's get to a couple more comments, and then we're gonna hit some of these ending videos, and we can send AJ on his merry way.
It's hot as F out here. It is 89 degrees or something, and these steps are hot.
Yeah, we've moved on from global warming to global boiling now, is what I've read in the New York Times. So Henry says, someone I think we need in our system is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for $8 million.
From Liverpool? No, he's a little too often injured. So I know Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain well, because he's a former Arsenal player. And he's a really good player when he's healthy, but that's the problem.
Henry says we need a new winger like Diego Rossi too. Yes, I wish those rumors were true. I would be surprised if he's one of the guys announced next week. It's possible. I just really think it's a low probability. T. Bryan says Boca here through 2025. Correct. He has a contract. Contracts can be severed. Keep that in mind. It's not healthy for the club to do that traditionally, but it's a possibility. Christian Schultz says, Brian, we're a seller's club. At this point, it falls on Arthur Blank and his lack of attention to the club. He doesn't care about us being good as long as we make him money. I mean, I think if you were to ask him, he would say something different. But I think, yes, it's a business. First thing first is making money. Does he want to win? Of course. Will he break the bank to do so? I mean, he's in a salary cap league. It's very hard for him to, quote unquote, break the bank. So we'll see. I think there are some big money moves. I mean, Garth Lagerwey, getting him, paying him probably through the nose is, I think, probably a good move in that. It's those non-season, it's those non-team signings you can make that can differentiate you against other teams, because you have a dumb amount of money with Arthur Blank, and you can pay guys like your CEO and your technical director, and you can get the best of the best in those positions. So hopefully we get that. Anything on that, AJ?
Yeah, and that seems to be like the crux of it is, Garth Lagerwey, seemingly, one of the best executives in the league. Post-spoken Negro. I don't think we would actually say that, like that doesn't quite jive with some of the best technical directors in the league. It's like, for pound, I think we could definitely find better, clearly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you hit on 50%, then I'm like, that's just chance. So I feel like I could maybe do better. I have a 50% chance of doing better if I do it randomly.
I mean, yeah, if you're a football manager player, I mean, it's like, there's a possibility that you could find some better players in that sense, because there is that thing with football managers. But it's also, yes, his job is difficult.
Yeah,
it's not like anybody off the street can just do it, but it does mean, though, he still needs to be a type of technical director that can do his job well. And so, like, I wish no ill will on him personally. I wish no ill will on his family. It's just that he's not good enough for the job. And
oh boy, the way you said that, you're just like, well, I hope he doesn't like accidentally fall off of a bridge somewhere and die horribly.
No,
this is very weirdly specific.
I do not mean any of that. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Because I feel like there are some people that are.
I hope no one kicks his dog tomorrow. Like, I don't know.
Right, exactly. Like, that has no bearing on any of, like, the job he's doing is only within, it's self-contained. Like, it's really only about the job he's doing. Because I have massive respect for him as a United States men's national team player.
Yeah.
And as the captain of the U.S. men's national team. But as a technical director, I think he's shown time and time again.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some more of these. Christian says, it's so sad to see the state of our club. I miss the Tata days. I never thought I'd say this, but maybe DeBoer wasn't that bad. Think he clearly wasn't that bad, especially comparatively. Considering the coaches we've had since, yeah. Justin Flournery says, when Barry came to the ball, I just felt the pit in my stomach. Yep, I felt the same thing. Miguel Barry is quite possibly the worst striker in MLS. I have no idea if that's true. It certainly feels like it, but I have no idea. Justin Flournery says, Barry, another reminder that Atlanta can't find a solid backup striker. Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, I thought Dom Dwyer was okay, was serviceable, but I mean, we look at Adam John, we look at Kubo Torres, we look at Miguel Barry, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty not great. I mean, Brandon Vasquez was good back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. We had a great backup in Brandon Vasquez, and we let go for nothing.
Yeah. Brian also says, DeBoer benefited from existing Tata roster. Who knows what he would have done with this dumpster fire? That's true. That is very true. I mean, again, I think that a lot of these coaches are hamstringed by Boca not really corroborating with them in terms of signings. Like, because I think it more like it's a top-down, here's who we're going to sign because they fit our DNA of this club, and you as the coach need to adapt to that. So that's just...
Do the players fit the DNA of the club? Do they?
I think to a very flawed and confused technical director, they do.
Yeah.
Christian says, true, I still feel like our roster is only 20% of this issue. Pineda's lack of experience and his stupid tactics and our FO's mismanagement make up the majority of our issues. I would say I would give the roster inequities more of a percentage, and I would give our FO culpability significantly more of the percentage. Pineda is still an issue, but I would put him probably more around like the 30% area, 33%, 1/3 of the issue.
Oh, but like we mentioned earlier, it's soccer IQ, talent ID, and coaching.
Right. It's a confluence of things, guys. It's never just one. Remember this. Just drill it into your head as a fact of life. It's never just one variable. It's always multiple. All right. Justin also says, it's crazy to me that Heinze, other than Tata, is the only coach to have input on the choice of players to come to the team. Pineda should have asked this on Blank's yacht. Yeah, I mean, I think future coaches in the future will. I think future coaches, I hope, we have rumors of silly things like, Marcelo Gallardo coming over here. If he were to, I would imagine you couldn't have a technical director in place who would dictate what was going to happen with managers like that. Specifically, Tata butted heads and eventually left because of that. You can't have high-level manager
they have to work.
And then a completely, pig-headed, dumb, or not pig-headed, what's the word I'm looking for? Strong-headed? Stubborn. Very strong-headed type of technical director who just, won't let him, do things or won't listen to things from him. So they won't work, so one has to go. I think any smart person will go probably on an experienced coach versus a technical director who's his first time in doing the job. So that's just my opinion. Let's see. I knew Wiseman. Oh, glad to see you in here. How you doing, buddy? It was great seeing you on the Newcastle game and the Chelsea game. I need Bocanegra cleared on Monday. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting and kind of nice. Let's see. Yes, this was Bocanegra's first technical director position. That's correct. Let's see. We're really missing Tito, Kareem says. Yeah, I mean, Tito would be an improvement over a lot of these guys. This is another reminder of Atlanta incompetence. Yeah, in a way. The FO is a mess for sure. Why can't we bring Tito back? Well, there's a lot of things about that. He's not going to come back with what we currently have. Yeah, exactly. Okay, okay. I off to list my season tickets on Ticketmaster resale site. Okay. It wasn't 50-50. It looked like a Chelsea match.
There's a lot of blue.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot.
I'm not
that and white.
Right. I'm not on camp about bringing back Frank de Boer. His coaching is sleepy. We need a coach who kind of is like Tata in his coaching style. Yeah, I mean,
I agree. Yeah, because Frank de Boer, as he was able to get us results, it was the way he got us results that we all had problems.
1-0 victories.
And also, 1-0 victories, and also it was the way he treated the team as well. It was not exactly there's this whole thing about Dutch directness, if you guys recall, or if you encounter Dutch people.
Yeah,
they're very direct.
It's specifically an idiom in English called Dutch uncle.
Yeah.
Means they're telling you something without any, flowery language, just direct.
Exactly. No euphemisms.
No lenses.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much, they'll tell you it straight, which is good sometimes, but you kind of need that. I think that this is why you see the likes of a show like Ted Lasso do so well. It's basically whatever the character's name in Ted Lasso, the Middle Eastern gentleman. I can't remember his name, but either way, he's more tactic based.
Oh yeah, the guy who was the kick boy, and then he became the West Ham manager.
Exactly. It's not the perfect analogy, but it is a little bit more of that. You have the person that's good tactically, but cannot coach or lead people.
Yeah.
I don't think Frank de Boer can't lead people. Obviously, he has. He's won with Ajax, and he's not a mug. But that's a different league. It's a different country. That's you know, he's obviously he was a very good player, and he's a good coach. But if we talk about Tata, talk about Frank de Boer, like those two just don't equate.
Yeah.
Like the style of play and the ability to coach and lead people, different styles.
There's also like a bit of like culture clashing probably as well.
Absolutely.
Even though Frank could speak flawless Spanish.
Right. It was just the whole really just even playing like soccer tennis. Like that was a thing of contention for Frank de Boer. Like that was not something that he like. It's more like kind of militaristic a little bit, And where South Americans are about fun. They need that, that good vibe. They want to be able to laugh. They want to be able to, have fun while playing what is ultimately a game.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a big culture clash.
So Kareem also says, really seeing who are the really true fans and who are the plastic fans in our dark times. Brian says, you want to get the front office's attention? 70,000 empty seats in the Mercedes-Benz would do it. Inja says, sadly, I gave up my season tickets for next year. I've had them from the beginning. Mixture of things. The value is not there. Product on the field is not giving good value for my money. That is perfectly fair, and support whatever financial decision you want to make. Brian also says, really? Do you have any idea the sacrifice we make to take our 4 boys to an Atlanta United game? I mean, people make sacrifices everywhere. And he says, can't see that happening. I could see a bigger drop in attendance because this is just sad. But if we're still putting 40 to 50,000 in seats, what motivation does the front office really have? Probably a lot, but this is like a whole conversation. Okay.
It was probably going along with what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Social media.
Okay, Brian says, AJ and Mike, thanks for doing this every game. You guys are great mental therapy for the distressed Atlanta United fan. Yeah, and this is like a group therapy session for sure, because we are also significantly distressed Atlanta United fans about this, and this helps us, so we're glad it helps you too. Last comment, Ellison says, season ticket holders wearing Atlanta United jerseys today cheering for CRUZ AZUL are a disgrace. I mean, for me, I don't care so much about that stuff. I feel like you can be I don't care about it when I see it, but I'm not going to do that. Like, if I'm there to root for a team, I'm rooting for that team. Then afterwards, if I liked both teams, I'm going to be like, okay, it's kind of a win-win, right? But in the moment, I'm going to be like, this was my team and I'm supporting them.
Right, but this is the thing. It's like if they were, like you were saying earlier, a CRUZ AZUL fan first, and then, when Atlanta United came around, they also were an Atlanta United fan. It'd be this. Like, all you Chelsea fans, all you Man U fans, Arsenal fan here, it'd be the same thing. If Atlanta United played Arsenal tomorrow, I have no idea what I'd do. I'd be rooting for both.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where, and probably to be fair, I'd probably look at the situation at hand. Like, if the game meant something, which it meant something today, I don't know. I would have to weigh who does it matter to for their season more.
Right.
So, it seems like CRUZ AZUL, it was do or die. Like their head coach was going to be sacrificed if they didn't win. Gonzalo Pineda didn't have that ultimatum. He was like hella comfortable in his press conference. Like, no, I don't think about that shit.
Yeah.
Like, really? I mean,
he's not gonna say. He's not gonna say it, right? So it's just
No,
not
of
gonna
course
happen.
not. But but it is one of those like, yeah, I think it would be because there's a lot of other coaches that have been asked that question, and it's like I think instead of maybe how he answered it, and also kind of how he talked this after at the press conference, where he's like, oh, this is just football. It's like, oh, you can't just say that. Like, it's just not the right thing to say.
Yeah. That's not going to assuage
And
fans. That's not going to make them happy,
exactly, like, and so it's partly on him. It's partly on the PR team as well for Atlanta United on not preparing him enough
Yeah.
for what the temperature of the fans are and media and everything else right now. Because I don't know. I mean, like PR team usually is pretty on point with Atlanta United, but I would imagine that they're not seeing everything right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're putting the blinders on.
Maybe. All right, let's get to a couple of these videos real quick. We'll knock them out so we can get AJ on his way. So this one first is a quick one. 5-second long video from Niall submitted in for his Red Ass Challenge that he's affectionately named Red Butt Challenge. And I'm not sure the instructions were fully understood because usually in a Red Ass Challenge you take a penalty shot at someone's rear end. In this case, this is a point blank, I don't know what to call it, putt to his butt. So we'll see. It's not quite it doesn't have the spice that you'd like from a red ass typically, but it is what it is. Boom, there he goes. That's literally it.
I would have loved to see some reaction or something, but alas, he took it like a champ. So
yeah. All right, well, that's that video. We have another one that is us doing it correctly. Niall, just so you know in the future, this is how you really do it. Okay. Let me just find it. Okay, so this one. So is it? Let me see. I need to find out which one is. Yeah, we did 3 tries, but we're only gonna show one of.
The last one.
Yeah, the last one. Okay, so that one is. That was me taking a shot at you. That's not good. So let's do the last one. I'll bring that one up, and we'll watch this one. This was someone. This was what was it? AJ taking a shot at me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get that on. All right. This is AJ taking a shot at me.
Take 3. Here we go.
No. Wait. No, this is Mark taking a shot. This is Mark taking a shot at AJ.
Okay.
And oh boy, he skies it so high into the air.
It's definitely hotter.
Oh man, he paratas it.
That's for sure. Yeah. But I'm feeling good.
Feeling lucky?
Feeling good.
All right.
All right. Maybe Miguel Berry. We'll say that.
What do you think of that? What happened there?
I mean, I'm still a little too much venom.
You wanted it too much.
Yeah. I'm a little too motivated to get AJ.
But let's just, you weren't blinded by the caboose, right?
Yeah. Maybe the pale legs.
There they are. There they are. Let's get a close up of the legs.
Okay. When AJ sees this later, he'll be like, okay, that's something you chose to do with the camera. That is correct. That is something I chose to do.
All right, take 3. Here we go.
All right, so that was fun. I think, was there any others that I had that we had lined up?
It was the one for you, yeah.
Yeah, where's that one? Is that one on here? Yeah, this one's
All
here.
right, here we go.
All right, here's another one that we did. This is AJ taking a shot on me. You'll be able to see his amazing technique as he misses.
I mean, I missed your ass, but
Yeah,
I made
mean,
Here we
contact.
go.
you just
For
did.
all
I
the
guess the
marbles.
directions weren't clear to you.
Well, at least I made contact. So far, the only person that's made contact.
Oh no! Only gets him in the ankle.
Got him though. Still got him.
All right, we'll give him some points for still getting them, I guess.
So he's got. Yeah, we're giving him fictitious points for still getting me. So there's that. All right, so yeah, that was our all of our challenges. That wraps up what we needed to give to you, fine folks. And all that's left now is for us to decide what we're going to get for you next time. So we can hit up the wheel now and see what wonderful things are waiting for us in there. This is between me and AJ tonight. We got it on... just landed on me. God damn it.
Oh man, again!
Great. Fun times. Good fun times. Alright. So we got all these things again. Let's see what it is. Eating a food I don't like. Awesome. Excited for this. That'll be
Big.
fun. Good stuff. Alright, so...
What could it be?
I don't know. I'll think about it. I have no idea what it could be because I ate the one thing I didn't like last time, and I don't really like too many. I don't really not like.
Dislike.
Yeah, I don't really dislike too many things. So we'll see. I'll have to think about it. So that pretty much does it for us tonight, guys. Let me just look at the chat real quick, see if there's anything else. SB Mobiles, thanks for coming in. And all the new names tonight, thank you very much for coming in. I saw quite a few of you tonight, so that's cool. Please join us again for the remainder of the MLS season. Hopefully it goes a little bit better. Hopefully we make the playoffs. Hopefully it's not a disaster. We'll see. And also, stay tuned for our possible reactions to whatever the heck happens to Boca and Pineda for the rest of the season. SB Mobile says, it's a disaster. Couch the front office, put them out. Are these match reactions come on? Yeah. I'm not quite sure what the last comment was. We are currently doing match reactions, yes. We did one earlier. You weren't here for them, but yes, you can rewind a bit and you can watch what we did earlier tonight. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Sounds good. You have any final thoughts for us tonight, AJ?
Yeah, so we've got some fun content coming up on the channel, and yeah, we're putting out some reels, so go check those out. Everywhere you can see our reels, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, we appreciate you for sticking around. If you're still here, we love you, and we love you nonetheless if you are watching the replay. But yeah, we appreciate the support as always. But yeah, for Michael, I'm AJ. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. We will see you next time. Good night.
See ya.